Namaskar friends, welcome back to video 2 of week 8. During this week, in this video, we'll discuss about authorship disputes in legal and personal documents, how linguistic fingerprints resolve conflict and establish the truth. When the question is not what was written, but the question is who wrote it, it's very important to discuss this. Friends, today we will explore one of the most fascinating areas of forensic linguistics, that is authorship disputes. In legal conflicts, the central question often shifts from the content of a document to the mind behind the content. A forged will can alter inheritance. A fabricated letter can damage reputations. An anonymous complaint can trigger investigations. A disputed suicide note can redefine guilt. And every one of these scenarios turn to linguistic evidence to uncover truth. Why? Because at this point, language becomes the witness that never forgets. Now let's understand what are authorship disputes. Authorship disputes arise when parties disagree about who wrote a document, when it was written, or whether it was influenced, dictated, or fabricated. These disputes occur in civil cases, criminal investigations, organizational conflicts, and personal disagreements. Linguistic analysis helps determine whether the questioned document matches the non-writing habits of the allied author, both stylistically or behaviorally. Each writer possesses a set of stable linguistic habits. These stable linguistic habits include certain preferred words, a unique rhythm of sentences, specific ways of beginning or ending paragraphs, a habitual use of punctuations, and distinctive grammatical tendencies. These form the writer's linguistic fingerprint. Even when a person tries to disguise their writing, these unconscious patterns persist beneath the surface. Now, when you talk about function words, friends, these function words are the hidden markers writers cannot control. Most people think authorship is about vocabulary, but in reality, function words, the small words that carry structure, not meaning, they are far more revealing. Writers rarely pay attention to how often they use and, that, although, because, or even. These cohesive devices, these function words, these patterns remain stable across writing samples. If a question document uses function words in a way inconsistent with the alleged author, authenticity is doubtful. Function words are the subconscious truth tellers of writing that one should not forget about. Now let's switch to sentence rhythms and structural preferences. Some writers love long, complex sentences with multiple clauses. Others prefer short, sharp sentences. Some switch between formal and conversational tones. Others maintain steady structure from start to finish. These preferences are rarely intentional. They emerge authenticity. When a disputed document suddenly shows completely different sentence rhythm, that mismatch becomes a red flag in authorship analysis. Now, if we move further, we can talk about lexical choices. Yes, friends, vocabulary as behavioral evidence. Writers develop habitual vocabulary systems. For example, one person may consistently say assist, while another says help. Now, the difference between assist and help tells a lot of things. Someone might always write regarding, while others prefer about. These choices appear trivial, yet they create patterns strong enough to distinguish one writer from another. If a question document uses vocabulary outside the author's non-linguistic range, definitely suspicion increases. When it comes to disguised authorship, that means when writers try hard to sound different. In this case, intentional disguise often fails. Why? Because the writer focuses on conscious features like spelling or tone. But unconscious linguistic habits like function words, sentence flow, syntactic preferences reveal themselves. Friends, disguised writing often shows unnatural variation, overcorrection, forced simplicity, or syntactic awkwardness. And these inconsistencies create a linguistic trail pointing back to the real author. Authorship in threat letters and extortion notes. Friends, threat letters often attempt to intimidate while masking identity. Writers may deliberately misspell words, mimic lower literacy levels, or exaggerate anger. But stylistic leakage still occurs. Let's understand with one example. Habitual phrase patterns, consistent misuse of certain prepositions, or unusually repeated sentence openings often lead investigators back to suspects. Threat writing exposes the author more often than it hides them. In organizational context, authorship analysis is crucial in cases. The cases which are involved in fabricated emails, manipulated reports, ghost written complaints, policy violations, whistleblower claims. Linguistic analysis determines whether a document was written internally or externally, collaboratively or independently, truthfully or strategically. The underlying language often resolves conflicts when human statements contradict each other. Friends, let's understand the difference between signing and writing. Yes, the authorship behind formal documents. Friends, signatures authenticate identity, but linguistic style authenticates the authorship. Just because someone signed a contract does not mean that they wrote it or even understood it. Linguistic analysis helps determine whether the language matches the signer's non-writing level or not, whether it matches with education or communication habits or not. A mismatch may indicate influence, coercion, or forgery. Let's understand with an anonymized case study about a disputed will and linguistic trail that solved it. Hypothetically, in a notable case, a will was contested on the grounds that the deceased had never used formal English in everyday communication. Yet, the will contained advanced legal terminology, complex syntactic structures, and high register vocabulary. Stylistic comparison showed strong alignment with the drafting lawyer's writing patterns. The court concluded that the will was not independently authored and linguistic analysis played a central role in the verdict. Friends, we need to understand the role of forensic linguist in authorship disputes. Forensic linguists can conduct stylistic comparisons, they can examine language stability, they can analyze unconscious writing habits, they can even detect manipulation or disguise, they can provide expert reports, and they can also clarify authorship probability without overstating certainty. Their testimony helps courts reach informed, evidence-based conclusions about disputed documents. Friends, writers may try to hide, deceive, or manipulate, but writing reveals more than intention. It reveals identity. I am very much thankful to you people for joining me on this video. I'll catch you in the next video where we'll talk about forgery detection, where linguistic markers expose deliberate manipulation and textual fraud. Friends, week 8 is just beginning and your analytical lens is sharpening with every step. So I advise you to stay tuned with the course, stay connected with the course until I catch you in the next video. Till then, thank you very much. Namaskar.